What about the e-bike? We spoke about the pollution in London. We spoke yesterday about Singapore's decision not to allow any new vehicles to be registered, to hang on to the transport to keep the air pure there. In North America, e-bikes, electrically assisted cycles, are in use in New York City, for example, to courier goods. But the mayor doesn't like them. He says that they are speeding. I've been speaking to Morgan Lommele. She's an e-bikes campaign manager at People for Bikes. They advise governments on cycling policy. What does New York City have against e-bikes, I asked her.
I think there are a lot of things at play. In New York, you have a number of different types of people. You have people who drive their cars around town, you have people who ride their existing traditional bicycles around town, and you have people who ride electric bikes. And none of those groups have the same interests. And I feel like this is an issue where one interest group is clearly rising to the top and has the ear of the mayor and is able to make change that way. And it's a short-sighted policy, but he needs to listen to some of the other stakeholders at hand.
Which is the group that most objects then to e-bikes?
In my opinion, it's people who live on the Upper West Side and the Upper East Side who have had to deal with a lot of changes in their life. If you think about parking and getting around the city, who don't like giving up parking lanes for bicycle lanes and don't like giving up their driving lanes for bicycles. And when they say e-bikes, it's kind of an easy target to identify e-bikes as the source of the problem.
Actually, describe an e-bike, because they differ in different parts of the world, don't they? Some are pretty much like normal bikes. They may have a battery and a bit of assistance somewhere on a wheel. Others are almost like mini motorbikes.
Yep, so a low-speed electric bicycle is a lot like a bike. It just has a small motor. And if you think about it, the motor is as powerful or less powerful as a hairdryer. So it's quite small. It has pedals. It has all of the same equipment that you would see on a traditional bicycle, but with that really small boost. And if you're able to ride a pedal-assisted e-bike, you'll realize that it's much more like a bicycle than a motorcycle. You have to be pedaling to engage the motor. It's generally 2 or 3 miles an hour faster uphill and on flat surfaces, and on downhill surfaces, it's the same.
Are there instances where the poor benighted citizens have been mown down by desperate e-bike riders?
No, this is my full-time job. I track the news, I track incident reports, and there have really been no shown instances of crashes or compromises in human safety and public safety because of e-bikes. So when the mayor of New York mentions speed and safety concerns, honestly, those are quite unfounded. And it's unfortunate that e-bikes are lumped in with higher speed devices and vehicles when really they're just bicycles with a small motor that are able to follow the same rules and regulations as regular bikes and haven't caused any crashes.
Which town or city is the best for e-bikes in the US?
Which city is the best for e-bikes? I would say probably San Francisco. California was the first state in the country to pass a progressive e-bike law that classified low-speed e-bikes as bicycles. So not only is it a friendly legislative environment, the infrastructure in San Francisco is pretty incredible for it. And I would say Denver's probably a close second.
So what are you trying to do to change Mayor De Blasio's mind?
So the problem with his position is that he's lumping throttle-actuated e-bikes with pedal-assisted e-bikes. So in other words, he's lumping e-bikes that you have to pedal to engage the motor with e-bikes that have a throttle and that don't require you to pedal. And there's a clear distinction in the New York administrative code between those two bikes. And so what we're trying to do is raise awareness with his staff that pedal-assist e-bikes are so similar to regular bicycles that they should not be lumped in with throttle-assisted e-bikes, which technically are motorized scooters under the city's code. So what we want to do is make sure that there's a safe place for e-bikes within the code, especially low-speed e-bikes, and that he recognizes the class 1, 2, and 3 electric bicycles in the city code, instead of lumping them all as these dangerous machines.
Who are e-bikes good for?
They're good for everyone. I'm a relatively younger person with 2 small children, and I take them to daycare every single day, and I ride my e-bike on my 5-mile commute to work. My father is 70 years old. He just bought one because of a back issue. He was no longer able to ride a regular bike. You see people replacing their vehicles with e-bikes, and certainly not replacing bicycles. So I would say anyone who wants to get to work on their 5 to 20 mile commute outside of a car, anyone who can no longer ride a bicycle because of a physical disability or something that just prevents them from pushing pedals. In general, the industry is growing 80% year over year. The most exciting thing about them is people who ride e-bikes, a lot of them haven't ridden a bike since they got their driver's license, and they just are rediscovering their love of bicycles because of this bicycle with a small motor.
That's Morgan Lommele, an e-bikes campaigner. Comment on that at Dan Damon Journalist on Facebook, at BBC Dan Damon on Twitter.